of 90 days, one of our Google Ad campaigns spent over $6,000 and generate over 2,000 in purchase, correct? So when it comes to setting up profitable Google Ads, a lot of people are approaching it the wrong way. So in this quick video here, I'm going to walk you through some of the few strategies that you need to take in mind before you go ahead and set up your Google Ads in 2026. All right? Because for a lot of business and service providers think that maybe setting up profitable Google Ads start with going into the Google Ads dashboard, then opening it to launch your campaign. But in reality, that is not the way it works. Most of the Google Ad campaign or ads are fixed in the past. There's a couple of things that we need to do, we do, and it's not really from the front end. It's most time on the back end. So here in this video, here, I'll be walking you through some of the mistakes. But the thing you need to have in mind before you go ahead and set up profitable Google Ads in 2026. Okay, so the number one thing that you need to know is you have to start with the end in mind. Okay, it's very, very important for you to start with the end in mind. And the question then, what does that mean? And what it means is that before you go ahead and set up your Google account or even open your Google Ad account and you want to launch any campaign for any product or service, there are a few things that you need to understand or consider. Number one, you need to have an offer in mind. Okay, because first and first, for you to run an ad, it simply means you have something that you want to achieve, you have a goal in mind, okay, that you want to achieve. Okay, that is why you want to run an ad. Not just beyond because you want to run ad because you have a lot of money to burn or you have a lot of money to spend. That is not how it works. Okay, if you want a lead, for example, you don't say something like contact us. Okay, you have to find something that's going to make sense for these people here, your prospect, to give you the information depending on what you're asking from them. Okay, so it could be that you want to collect an email, you want to collect a phone number, you want to collect an address, depending on what you're selling, for example. So it is important for you to make it so like so a kind of a win-win situation. Okay, it is, you have to make it a kind of a win-win. Okay, so because naturally as human being, one of the questions that you're going to ask is what is in for me. Okay, so what is in for me? So this person have to know that okay, there is something for them in return, or you have to provide a kind of a small value upfront, or maybe what you call a foot in the door. Okay, so number two is once you have been able to figure out your offer, the next thing that you want to do is to have a high converting landing page. Okay, now for Google, you might be able to find a workaround with other platforms when it comes to pay ads. Let's say for Facebook, for example, you could probably send your traffic directly to WhatsApp, but Google doesn't work that way. For you to be able to run a profitable Google ad, you have to have a kind of a high performing landing page. Here is why. Even if you have a landing page, for example, and you seem to have an issues with loading of that landing page, your ad is not going to be approved. Google is going to disapprove it. Okay, that's why it's important for you to make sure that you have a kind of a high performing landing page in terms of load speed, in terms of the user experience. Okay, because for example, if you're running search ads, know that Google is going to score you with what Google call quality score. Okay, so Google take into consideration the experience that the person have when they land on your page. And how does Google determine this? One, the speed at which your page is going to load, okay, and how long they spend in this time here, the time on the page. Okay, if you have a lot of bounce rate, for example, Google is going to restrict the number of people that are going to see the ad. So that is why it is very important for you to put this into consideration or work. You need to take care of this before you go ahead and set up your Google Ads. The number three thing that you need to understand, point three, is that with this, once you have a clear goal in mind or you have an end in mind, it's going to help you to choose the right campaign objective. Okay, so what you want to do is that depending on what you want to achieve, for example, say you're trying to collect lead for your business, okay, maybe you're a consultant, you're a coach, for example, or you sell high ticket products and such. Okay, what you want to do is that you should try to choose a campaign that aligns what you want to achieve and try to meet your customer where they are. Okay, that is why the concept of intent, for example, is going to come in. Okay, so number two is that um, you need to give Google the right signal. Okay, it's just like a kind of a feedback loop for Google to be able to make your campaign very effective. You have to be able to be predictive or predictable with the kind of people who interact with your ads. Okay, so the way you can be able to do that is by installing Google conversion tracking for analytics. But in this case, Google conversion tracking or tag is the most important or essential thing that you need to you need to do. So you need to set that up. So because it is the event that will be reporting back to Google Ad dashboard, and Google is going to use that to optimize your ads to make sure that the ad is going to be showing to the right people and to the right audience. All right. Number two here we have you need to use the right keyword. Okay, by starting with the end in mind is going to help you to come up with the right keywords. Okay, the right keywords here basically in terms of what people are searching or typing on Google related to what you sell it. Okay, so if you don't give Google the right keywords, simply you are going to burn a lot of money without result. And at the end of the day, at the end of saying, hey, Google ad is not working. In reality, it is that because you didn't give Google the right signal, the right keyword for it to work with. Then the next one we have here is that you need to always include negative keyword. This is very, very, very important. Okay, you need to include negative keyword. Negative keyword, they are not essentially but negative in the sense that they don't speak directly to your campaign goal or objective or the outcome that you want to achieve. Okay, for example, if you are looking for people to register for your webinar and people are looking for free courses, okay, that might not necessarily be aligned in the sense that most of the people are free information seekers, meaning they are not in any way looking to buy. Okay, so but in a case where you have someone that is directly searching for something related to what you are selling, you want to make sure that you include that those type of keyword as high level keywords. You might want to put them as number one in terms of exact match. While the second set of categories of keyword can basically comes in as kind of an observation to see exactly if there are some kind of keyword that are in between that you can basically take that to add back into your system to continue to see the right result. Okay. Then the last one here is you need to follow the machine fuel dimension. Here's what it simply means. You need to include assets. Okay. So by putting assets, you are expanding that signal. So Google is going to build upon the signal that you give to it. So over time, you are going to get the right result. Even, for example, at the initial stage of that campaign, we are not getting the kind of result you want. Maybe the result might be slow. But with the right asset, you see that over time, your results are going to be very predictive. They're going to be predictable. So you know that, okay, if you spend like $10, you get like 2 conversions. If you spend like $20, you should have like 4 or 5 conversions. So over time, it's going to work for your two or for your favors and something like that. Okay. Then the last one here that you need the right budget. All right. So for example, let's say the value of your lead is like $500. What we don't want to do is to go ahead. You want to set up a campaign like $5. It doesn't make any sense. So you are not going to get any result. So there is a kind of a 30-30 rule. Okay, say for example, you want like 30 leads in 30 days. So what you want to do is that you have to divide the value of the offer. So let's say, for example, $500 is the value of one lead. So which means that even if you spend like $30, $50 to acquire one lead, at the end of the day, if your conversion is K or your closing is absolutely good, you're still going to be very, very profitable with your Google ad. Okay, so these are a few things that you need to know before you go ahead and set up your Google ad. So the first thing you need to do is to have some of the fundamental or strategies or framework in mind before you go ahead and set up your first Google ad in 2026. I hope you learned something from this video here. My name is Noah. If you have any question about Google or YouTube, just go ahead and drop it in the comment. I'm going to respond to it as soon as I see it. And that's it. See you in my next video. Cheers.